I always get so inspired by other people who get inspired by your work, just because you think to yourself, it's like, oh, it's just my process. You know, it's just something I know I enjoy doing. But if it makes people sort of happy to see the representation and then they come up to you and they're like, yo, this is awesome, it kind of gives you that motivation to keep going. And it's one of those things that's like, I'm giving back to the community so they can come and be excited to come by here and sort of see more art and color in the city. And that just drives me to keep going. So I think it's one of those reciprocal things where I'm happy for the space to get more color, but also for me to keep going, you know?
And for another generation. Hell, it can be someone from our generation. If you get inspired by the colors that you're seeing around you, hey,
definitely
go for it.
Yeah.
Don't stop. You know, even if it's just like a little something that you're like.
Yeah, we know a lot of creatives that started out, because we started more small scale with screen printing, but we always sort of dreamed of like, no, I want to see our art in large buildings. So we have friends that I'm like, hey, you can totally do this. If we can do this, you can do this. And when they come and see us and they sort of see like, oh, they're doing it, I can do it too. Like, yeah, go for it.
And again, also like a sponsored thing, you're like, hey, it can be a healthy relationship, you know? So I'm seeing, especially right now with like, it's not just us right now that's working in this space, it's like so many other creatives. And so kind of seeing that as a bigger picture and seeing how like I can share a bit of like my culture, my art, my painting process, and then vice versa. I'm like, everything kind of goes hand in hand, you know?
I think it's such a cool thing for people to see that a brand like Mike's sort of is embracing the Mexican culture, the Hispanic culture, the Latino culture. And I think the community sometimes needs to see that sort of representation to be like, hey, I can work with big companies. They want to work with me. So I think that's such a special thing to show to young artists. I think that the cool thing about this mural was that they gave us free rein really to be creative with our culture or just to represent it. So we were really excited about that.
It also like kind of helped because we could kind of like dump all of our ideas and then kind of like start pulling out what we want, the patterns of like the fabrics of the traditional clothes from Mexico, and then of course like color. Like here in San Antonio, like it's just cool to be vibrant, honestly. You know, and it's right away we're like, when we go to Market Square downtown, seeing the papel picado, like that gets our attention because it's colorful. And so I'm like, it has to be put in there with this concept.
I think fiesta is such a big part of San Antonio and the Mexican culture. I think San Antonio really sort of gravitated and sort of held on to that Mexican culture. So the color is always here. So I think that's why the folklorico dresses have always been a pull for me, because it's sort of that connection back to like our culture. And the fact that we can start putting them into more murals is exciting.